My boyfriend smirked. He's just a friend. Cool. Then his friend sent me a thank you text for the hotel reservation I apparently paid for. I didn't argue. I screenshotted. I'm Rachel, 27 years old, female. And I can't stop shaking while I write this because my hands still remember the exact weight of my phone when the text popped up, the one that cracked my entire relationship like glass. Let me rewind. My boyfriend, Lucas, 29 years old, male, has always had this smug way of brushing things off. He's charming, funny, a little too smooth for his own good. When we first started dating, it felt like I was living in one of those indie movies where the guy knows the best dive bars, remembers your coffee order, and says all the right things at the right time. I fell hard. Everyone did. My friends, my mom, even my dog loved him. But then there was Mark, 30 years old, male, Lucas's friend. The one who texted him at 2 a.m., the one Lucas always defended with a smirk and that stupid line, "He's just a friend." I tried to believe it. Tried to swallow the gnawing unease when I'd find receipts for late-night drinks for two, or when Lucas would come home smelling faintly of cologne that wasn't his. Tried to convince myself that I was overthinking every time Lucas angled his phone away or suddenly went out of service for a few hours. I wanted to trust him because the alternative, admitting I was being played, was too humiliating. Then last week, the text came. I was scrolling through my notifications when Mark's name flashed on the lock screen of my phone. Not Lucas's, mine. "Thanks again for the hotel res, Rachel. Lucas said you covered it. Means a lot." I swear my stomach dropped so fast I thought I'd throw up. My brain stalled on those words. Hotel. Reservation. Covered it. Me? I hadn't paid for a hotel. At least not knowingly. Then it hit me. The joint credit card. The one I'd opened because Lucas said it would be simpler for groceries and bills. My chest went hot like every nerve ending was on fire. But instead of exploding, I froze. I screenshotted every single word, saved it to my drive, emailed it to myself, triple-backed it up because suddenly I knew I'd need proof. When Lucas got home that night, all lazy grin and casual swagger, he noticed me staring at my phone. "What's up, babe?" I asked if he'd gone out with Mark again. He smirked, same as always. "He's just a friend." And I smiled back, lips trembling so hard I bit the inside of my cheek to keep steady. Because in that moment I knew something. He thought he'd fooled me. He thought I'd just swallow it down like always. But no, not this time. This time, I was going to make him choke on his own lie. I've been replaying every moment with Lucas in my head, like I'm combing through a crime scene I didn't realize I was standing in the whole time. The signs were all there. I just kept smoothing over them because love makes you stupid, and I was very stupid. Lucas, when I first met him, had this intoxicating mix of confidence and danger. He worked in marketing, knew how to read a room, and could talk anyone into anything. My friends called him the charmer. He'd buy a round of shots for strangers at the bar, tell outrageous stories, and have people eating out of his hand. Me included. And then there was Mark. Always in the background. Lucas introduced him like, "This is my boy, Mark. We've been tight since college." At first, I liked him. He was polite, a little quiet, almost deferential to Lucas. But something about the way Lucas lit up around him, it was different. More than friendship. I'd catch Lucas staring just a beat too long, or they'd have these inside jokes that excluded me completely. I told myself it was my imagination. The first real crack showed up about 6 months into dating. Lucas disappeared for an entire weekend. Claimed he'd gone on a guy's trip with Mark. No invite, no warning. When I got upset, he said, "Why are you being so controlling? He's just a friend. I need my space sometimes." The guilt trip worked. I backed down. Another time, I noticed Lucas had changed his phone password. He brushed it off with that same smirk. "Relax, Rachel. Privacy doesn't mean secrets." But whenever Mark's name popped up on his screen, Lucas would angle the phone away like a magician hiding a trick. The financial stuff started creeping in too. Charges on our joint card for restaurants I'd never been to, Uber rides in the middle of the night, an expensive bottle of wine from a boutique shop way across town. When I'd ask, Lucas had an explanation ready. Always smooth, always rehearsed. He knew how to spin anything. And I wanted so badly to believe him that I swallowed every excuse. But now, looking back with Mark's hotel text burning in my brain, the puzzle pieces all snapped together. That weekend guys trip? Paid with my card, those late-night Ubers, dropping him off at Mark's, the bottle of wine, an anniversary gift for someone who wasn't me. It's almost funny in a sick way. Lucas thought he was untouchable, that I was too soft to connect the dots. But I wasn't soft, I was patient. And patience, when it finally cracks, turns into something else, something sharp. So here's where I'm at. I haven't confronted Lucas yet. I've still got the screenshots. I've still got every receipt, every late-night charge, every flimsy excuse cataloged. He doesn't know I know, and that gives me leverage. Because if Lucas wants to play games, fine. But this time, I'm the one writing the rules. Don't forget to subscribe. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there beside Lucas, watching his chest rise and fall like nothing in the world could touch him. My mind was buzzing, flipping through every lie he'd told me, every little smirk when I asked questions. And instead of crying like I used to, I felt cold, sharp, like a wire pulled too tight. The next morning, he kissed my cheek on his way out the door, humming like he hadn't just stabbed me in the back with my own credit card. "Going to grab lunch with Mark later," he said casually, already sliding on his jacket. My stomach twisted, but I kept my face neutral. "Okay, have fun," I said, like nothing was wrong. Because that's what I'd decided. I wasn't going to explode. Not yet. I needed to let him keep thinking he was safe. Step 1. Proof. I logged into our joint credit account during my lunch break at work. I'd always glanced at the big totals before, never the details. But this time, I pulled up everything from the last 6 months and scrolled line by line. The charges lined up like breadcrumbs. Fancy hotels, late-night Lyft rides, a jewelry store receipt for $426. Jewelry I had never received. I screenshotted every single one. Step 2. Cover. I texted my best friend Lila, 28 years old, female. She's blunt, sarcastic, and the kind of friend who doesn't sugarcoat anything. When I told her what I'd found, she sent back, "That boy is dumber than wet cardboard if he thinks he can gaslight you. Tell me when we're ruining his life." I laughed out loud in the office bathroom, which startled some poor intern. For the first time, I felt lighter, like I wasn't alone in this. Step 3. Bait. I played nice. Over the next few days, I let Lucas dig his own grave. When he said he had a work dinner, I smiled and told him to have fun. When he came home late, I pretended to be asleep. He relaxed, got sloppy. One night, I even heard him in the shower, whispering to Mark on speakerphone. I couldn't make out every word, but I caught enough. "She has no idea," followed by laughter. My nails dug into my palms so hard they left crescents. But the best part? He left his laptop open. I hadn't dared touch his phone, but his email was right there. Bookings, reservations, a calendar invite titled M+L Getaway. I nearly screamed. They were planning another weekend together, and he hadn't even bothered to hide it. So now I had the receipts, literal and figurative. The hotel charges, the jewelry purchase, the text from Mark, and now Lucas's own sloppy paper trail. He thought I was oblivious, but really, I was stacking ammunition. Because when I finally pulled the trigger, I didn't want Lucas just caught. I wanted him trapped with no room to wriggle out. And part of me, the angry, cold part that had been quietly growing, wanted him humiliated. Wanted that smirk wiped clean off his face in front of people he couldn't charm or lie to. So I started planning not just revenge, but the stage it would play out on. Once I had the proof stacked, the question became, when do I burn him? Not if, when. I didn't want to just scream in our apartment and throw his stuff out the window, even though the thought of watching his smug face pale had its appeal. No. Lucas thrived in private lies and half-truths. He needed to be exposed where his charm couldn't save him. The perfect chance came gift-wrapped. His sister, Emily, 32 years old, female, was throwing a birthday dinner for their mom at a trendy little restaurant downtown. Lucas had already invited me weeks earlier, told me how important it was for me to come, how his family loved me, which in hindsight was hilarious. He wanted me there smiling like the doting girlfriend while he was sneaking off with Mark. That dinner became my stage. Sais. The week leading up to it, I played my role flawlessly. I cooked him dinner, laughed at his stories, even kissed him goodbye like nothing was wrong. Inside, I was rehearsing. Every smile was a sharpened knife. Lila knew my plan. "Public execution. I like it," she texted, sending me a meme of a guillotine. Meanwhile, Lucas got bolder. One night, he came home late, shirt rumpled, and I swear I caught a whiff of Mark's cologne. I forced a sleepy grin. Long night? He smirked, that smirk, and said, yeah, just work stuff. That was the moment I knew I'd chosen the right battlefield. He was so sure of himself, so sure I was blind. The night of the dinner, I dressed carefully. Not to look sexy, not for Lucas. I wore this simple black dress and a silver necklace, ironically, the one my grandmother gave me, since Lucas never bought me jewelry. The symbolism wasn't lost on me. He bought jewelry, sure, just not for me. We sat down at the long table with his family. Emily hugged me, his mom complimented my dress, and Lucas held my hand under the table like we were this perfect couple. My stomach churned, but I held steady. Then Lucas's phone buzzed. He tried to slip it out discreetly, but I caught the name glowing on the screen. Mark. I almost laughed. It was like the universe wanted to hand me the cue. So I excused myself, walked to the bathroom, and opened my phone. I pulled up the screenshots. The thank you text from Mark, the hotel receipts, the jewelry purchase, the M12 getaway calendar invite, all lined up like bullets in a magazine. When I came back, Lucas was laughing with his mom, wine glass in hand. I slipped into my chair, smiled sweetly, and said, hey, Lucas, since your family's all here, maybe you can explain something. That's when I placed my phone on the table, screen lit up with the screenshots. The table went silent. His mom's smile froze. Emily frowned. And Lucas, God, his smirk evaporated so fast I thought I'd imagined it. And that's where I'll leave it for now, because the fallout was nuclear. Don't forget to subscribe. Update. Holy. The post blew up faster than I expected, and my phone won't stop buzzing. So here's me checking back in like a sleep-deprived, slightly vindictive ghost. First, thank you. The flood of messages helped me steady my hands more than I thought possible. Reading your stories and short, furious instructions made the plan feel less like a solo temper tantrum and more like a justified surgical unmasking. Some highlights because y'all are a mood. Burn the house down. Tempting. Yeah, someone actually said that in caps. Hilarious. Also dumb. I laughed, then screenshot it because ignoring the insane responses feels wrong if I'm being honest. No arson plans here. File for the receipts, take him to civil court, press for theft. A bunch of lawyers/Sherlocks slid into my DMs with step-by-steps. One of them sent a checklist for documenting unauthorized charges. I followed it. The spreadsheet is so neat it's almost soothing. Post everything publicly versus don't get doxxed. The comment section read like a tug of war. I get both. I'm not looking to ruin myself or my future with an impulsive social media lynching. Evidence first. Posture second. I've been reading every DM and screenshot people have sent me. Supportive ones, angry ones, weird ones, from folks convinced I'm the villain. There's one DM I can't stop thinking about. An older woman who said, girl, don't just expose him. Make sure he can't ever weaponize you again. She sent a tiny manifesto about changing passwords, freezing cards, and where to save copies so no one disappears them. I did all of that last night. Changed account numbers, got a new card in my name only, transferred emergency funds out of reach. Procedural revenge. Boring, but crucial. Lila's been my backbone. She's been theatrical about it. Memes, a playlist titled Publicly Normal, Privately Deadly, but under the theatrics, she's practical. She called Emily, Lucas's sister, under the pretense of asking about a sweater and slipped in that there were weird charges. Emily's now a wary variable in play. I didn't want to drag her in, but she deserved a chance to not stand on the wrong side of the table when the light came on. I've also had to make choices that felt ugly but necessary. I shared sanitized screenshots with 2 trusted friends and 1 lawyer-type contact. Not to torpedo him, but to build a paper trail that can't be gaslit away as jealousy. My moral compass kept wobbling. Am I petty, vindictive, righteous? And every time I answered, maybe all 3. The truth is, I'm angry, and I want him to feel the shame he's been slinging at me for months. Lastly, I saw a bunch of you asking if I'd confront him at dinner. Yes, that's the plan. I staged the screenshots at the table because charm dies under an audience. I didn't expect everyone's silence to feel like an inhale before an explosion. That silence was the exact place I wanted to drop the evidence. I've been sitting on that first update for a couple of days, And in the meantime, Lucas gave me the perfect opening to finally pull the trigger. He thought he was being slick, still smirking, still glued to his phone, still tossing out, "Relax, Rachel, he's just a friend," like it was a magic spell that erased suspicion. But his arrogance became my weapon. The night it all cracked open, Lucas came home buzzing. He'd had drinks with coworkers but smelled like expensive cologne and cigarettes. He tossed his jacket over the chair and started bragging about how some idiot client had picked up their bar tab. I let him talk. I even laughed. And then, when he left his phone charging face up on the counter for once, I finally got what I needed. A text from Mark. It wasn't even discreet. Just, "Can't wait for round 2 next weekend. Hotel's even nicer this time." My blood went ice cold, but my hands? Steady. I screenshotted, forwarded it to myself. Then I slipped his phone back exactly where it had been. No confrontation, not yet. Instead, I started baiting the trap. The next morning, I told Lucas I'd planned a small dinner with some friends at our place. He grumbled, but agreed. He never suspected what was actually coming. Not my friends, but his parents, and my sister Claire. The people he cared most about impressing, all in the same room. That Saturday, I cooked like it was Thanksgiving. Roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, the works. Lucas was preening, acting like the perfect boyfriend in front of his parents. He poured wine for everyone, cracked jokes, flashed that easy smile that used to make me melt. And then, halfway through dinner, I cleared my throat and said, "I wanted to share something." I pulled out my phone. One by one, I laid the receipts on the table. Hotel confirmations charged to my card, screenshots of Mark's texts, Uber rides at 3 a.m., the thank you message that started it all. The room went silent except for the sound of Lucas's fork clattering onto his plate. His mother gasped. His dad stared at him like he didn't recognize his own son. Claire just whispered, "Oh my God." Lucas's face went pale, then red, then twisted into something ugly. He knocked over his wine glass, stood up so fast his chair toppled, and started shouting at me, calling me crazy, saying I'd fabricated everything. His voice cracked when I calmly said, "Mark, do you want to confirm?" And then held my phone up again, showing Mark's last little heart emoji. That's when Lucas snapped. He punched the wall so hard a picture frame crashed to the floor. His mother screamed. His dad jumped up to hold him back. And I just stood there, calm as ice, watching him unravel in front of the very people he lived to impress. Because that was the real revenge. Not just proving he cheated, but showing everyone exactly who he really was without me having to raise my voice once. Lucas's rage didn't end when he punched the wall. If anything, that was just the ignition. His dad, red-faced and furious, shoved him back down into the chair. "What the hell is wrong with you?" he barked. His mom was trembling, clutching her wine glass like a lifeline. Claire slipped her hand into mine under the table and squeezed. I didn't flinch. I wanted Lucas to see me steady, unshaken, while he came apart in front of everyone. He sputtered excuses, voice cracking between fake indignation and panicked rage. "She's making this up. Those screenshots could be anyone. Rachel's obsessed. She's paranoid." He gestured wildly, knocking the salt shaker onto the floor. I let him rant until he ran out of air. Then I calmly slid my phone across the table to his dad. "Mark texted me directly. That's his number. The charges are on my card. There's nothing fake here." The silence that followed was brutal. His mom's hand shook so badly wine sloshed onto the tablecloth. His dad's jaw clenched as he scrolled through each screenshot. And Lucas, his face crumpled. For the first time, he didn't look smug. He looked exposed, small. That's when the tears started. Big, messy sobs that didn't match the venom he'd spat seconds before. He stood, knocking his chair again, and actually dropped to his knees beside me. "Rachel, please. You don't understand. It wasn't serious. It was a mistake, I swear." I pulled my hand away like his touch burned. His mom whispered his name, horrified. His dad muttered, "Get up, for God's sake, get up." But Lucas wasn't done humiliating himself. He turned desperate, eyes wild, and shouted, "Mark, tell her. Tell them it's not like that." And then he did the one thing I didn't expect. He called Mark, on speaker, right there at the dinner table. The phone rang twice before a groggy voice answered. "Dude, why are you calling me?" Lucas, voice breaking, stammered, "Tell them, man. Tell Rachel it's not what she thinks." There was a pause. Then Mark laughed. A short, cruel sound. "What do you want me to say, that I didn't fuck you in that hotel room because, that'd be a lie." The silence afterward was nuclear. His mom's hand flew to her mouth. Claire's nails dug into my palm. And Lucas, he froze, completely shattered. He ended the call with shaking hands, then turned on me, screaming. Not words at first, just this raw animal sound. He grabbed the edge of the table and flipped it, plates crashing, food splattering across the floor. His dad lunged at him, but Lucas shoved him away and stormed toward the door, shouting, "You ruined my life, Rachel! You ruined everything!" The door slammed so hard a picture fell off the wall. Then, just like that, he was gone. Everyone was shaking. His mom started crying quietly. His dad muttered something about needing to call someone. Claire wrapped her arms around me, whispering, "You did the right thing." But I wasn't relieved. Not yet. Because the way Lucas's eyes burned when he looked at me, I knew this wasn't over. And I was right. That was just the beginning of his spiral. Update 2. Welp, remember how I said Lucas's eyes burned when he left? Yeah. Turns out I was right to be scared. First off, thank you again for the flood of messages. Some of y'all are hilarious. Special shout out to the person who suggested I should have dumped a bucket of mashed potatoes on his head at dinner. 10/10 mental image. Others gave me real grounded advice about restraining orders, documenting harassment, and making sure I don't underestimate what an unhinged person can do when cornered. I listened. Because Lucas did not take his public implosion gracefully. The night after the dinner, my phone blew up. Calls, texts, voicemails, everything from "please baby let's talk" to "you don't know what you've done" to full-on screaming threats. He went from sobbing apologies to raging accusations in the span of 5 minutes. I blocked him. He switched to email, blocked again. Then he started showing up. 2 days later, I came home to find him sitting on the steps outside my building. Hoodie up, chain smoking like a cliché. I froze in my car for a solid 5 minutes before calling Lila, my best friend, who basically turned into my personal security detail. She came roaring over and got in his face, told him she'd call the cops if he didn't leave. He finally slunk off, but not before yelling across the lot, "You'll regret this, Rachel," like a bad movie villain. His instability ramped from there. A neighbor texted me that he'd been pounding on my door one night when I wasn't home, shouting my name. Another time, I found a scrap of paper under my windshield wiper. "I forgive you. Let's start fresh." That one sent chills down my spine. Not comforting. Creepy. A lot of you told me to get legal involved. I did. I filed a police report for harassment, showed them the screenshots, the texts, the paper note. They said I was smart to start early. Restraining orders work better when you show a pattern. So now I'm building that paper trail like it's my job. What stings most is that Lucas isn't just harassing me. He's been trying to spin this to his family. Emily, his sister, texted me that he showed up at their mom's house crying, saying I ambushed him and lied to ruin his life. But guess what? Emily was there at the dinner. She saw the evidence with her own eyes. She shut him down. His mom won't even answer his calls anymore. So now it's just me, him, and his unraveling ego. And here's the thing. A lot of you keep saying, "Go no contact, stay safe, cut him off." Trust me, I'm doing all of that. But I can't lie. A part of me wants him to feel the same humiliation he tried to bury me under. I already exposed him once, but I'm not done. Because if Lucas wants to play unhinged games in public, then I'm ready to give him an ending so loud, so undeniable, that even he won't be able to smirk his way out of it. And that's what's coming next. The revenge in full color. After Lucas's meltdown and the stalking crap that followed, I realized something important. Humiliation wasn't enough. He'd already tasted it at the dinner, and instead of crawling away, he doubled down. So if he wanted to play unhinged in public, fine. I'd give him a stage, just not the one he expected. The opportunity dropped right into my lap. Emily, his sister, texted me about 2 weeks after the dinner. FYI, Lucas is still planning to show up at Dad's retirement party. He's been bragging that he'll set the record straight in front of everyone. My stomach flipped. The thought of him cornering me in front of a crowd made me sick. But then it hit me. This was perfect. His dad's party wasn't just family, it was coworkers, old friends, extended relatives, people who respected his dad, people Lucas needed to impress. If Lucas wanted to make it public, then I'd make it unforgettable. I called Lila. She was instantly on board, practically squealing through the phone. Babe, this is theater. We're not just ending him, we're staging his final act. So we planned. I gathered every shred of proof I had. The text from Mark, the hotel charges, the jewelry receipt, the late-night Ubers. I even printed the email confirmations with Lucas's sloppy M+L getaway subject line. Lila suggested putting them together in a little binder. Professional, neat, undeniable. I almost laughed at how ridiculous it felt, but she was right. If Lucas tried to spin, I needed the evidence to speak louder than him. The night of the party, I walked in calm. Black blazer, hair pulled back, no makeup drama. I wanted to look untouchable. Emily met me at the door and whispered, "He's already here, drunk." My heart raced, but I forced a smile. Perfect. The speeches started. His dad was glowing, thanking everyone for coming, talking about decades at the company. Then, like clockwork, Lucas staggered forward, glass in hand, slurring about how not everything is what it seems. His mom buried her face in her hands. His dad tried to wave him off, but Lucas raised his voice. "She ruined me," he shouted, pointing at me. "She made up lies, twisted everything." That was my cue. I stood, slow and steady, binder in hand. "Actually," I said, projecting so the whole room heard me, "these are his lies. I've got receipts, literally." Then I opened the binder and started laying pages on the table like a poker dealer. Screenshots, receipts, texts. The gasps around the room were audible. Someone muttered, "Oh my God." Emily crossed her arms, glaring at him. His dad's jaw tightened. And Lucas? His face crumbled. He lunged forward, trying to grab the papers, but Lila, God bless her, stepped in and blocked him like a linebacker. "Touch her and I'll bury you," she hissed. The crowd erupted. Some people tried to calm him, others ushered his mom away. His dad finally snapped, shouting at him to leave. And when Lucas screamed that I had ruined him, I just smiled and said, "No, Lucas, you ruined yourself. I just stopped covering for you." He threw his glass against the wall and stormed out, humiliated in front of everyone that still mattered to him. And for the first time since this nightmare began, I felt it. Peace. After the retirement party imploded, Lucas's downfall wasn't a slow slide. It was a nosedive. Word spread fast. His dad's coworkers, the ones who had respected him, now only whispered about him behind hands. Emily told me later that her dad was mortified, not just because Lucas embarrassed himself, but because he tried to hijack his night. That was the final crack. His family didn't just pull away, they slammed the door. His mom blocked his number. Emily told him not to show up at her house again. His dad made it clear, "You're not welcome here until you get your life together." But Lucas didn't get his life together. He unraveled. At first, he doubled down with me. More late-night calls, more emails, messages from burner accounts saying I'd regret ruining him. I filed for the restraining order and got it granted. Watching the judge read the stack of evidence, the screenshots, the harassment logs, the note under my windshield, felt like the quietest kind of victory. Cold, clean, undeniable. The order meant he couldn't come near me. And when he violated it 2 weeks later by lurking outside my apartment, he got hauled off in handcuffs. Meanwhile, Mark vanished, deleted socials, stopped answering calls. Emily swore Lucas raged about being abandoned. I didn't feel bad. The guy had been complicit the whole time. Let him ghost. The wildest part? Lucas's own job came crashing down. Someone at the retirement party, probably one of his dad's colleagues, had mentioned his behavior to HR. Then the photos started circulating. Because yes, people had filmed his little tantrum, the wine glass shattering, his screaming about how I ruined him. Combine that with his spotty attendance and the harassment report I'd filed. He was out within a month, fired. It should have felt triumphant, and it did, in flashes. But mostly, it felt like I dragged a monster into the light and watched it shrivel. Not glamorous, not cinematic, just necessary. The real revenge wasn't just in exposing him. It was in reclaiming everything he thought he owned in me. I closed the joint account, scrubbed his name off my lease, deleted every photo and blocked every trace of him. It was like erasing a stain. And through it all, Lila never left my side. One night, after Lucas's arrest, we sat on my couch eating takeout straight from the containers, laughing until our stomachs hurt. She raised her beer and said, "To receipts. May they always be the knife." I clinked my bottle against hers. For the first time in months, I felt free. Lucas lost his smirk, his job, his friend, and his reputation. I walked away with my head high, my evidence folder closed, and my life finally my own again. And honestly, that was the sweetest revenge of all.